Have you ever felt like you're just constantly getting tossed around by the waves of the financial markets? Well, today we're going to talk about an incredible way to not just navigate those waves, but to actually use them to build wealth. This is going to be a game changer.
I mean, let's be honest, it's the most painful question in investing, right? You get caught up in the excitement when everything's going up, so you buy in, only to see it all come crashing down. Then, out of pure fear, you sell everything right at the bottom just before it turns around. It feels totally random, like you're lost in a hurricane with no compass.
But what if it's not random at all? What if the economy actually moves in a predictable, repeating cycle, almost exactly like the four seasons in a year? Seriously, once you learn to read this financial weather, you can stop reacting to the storm and start preparing for the sunshine. So, let's get right into it. This is the framework, the four seasons of the economy. We're going to look at each season, understand its unique climate, and figure out exactly what thrives in those conditions.
Okay, here's our map for the journey. It lays out the whole cycle. If you look at the top left, you see the difficulty phase. We're going to call that winter. Then, moving clockwise, you get to money injection. That's our spring. This leads to the inflation phase, which is, you guessed it, summer. And finally, we get money withdrawal, or autumn, which brings us right back to the cold of winter. It just keeps repeating. And here's what's so powerful about this concept. Every single one of these seasons creates the perfect environment for a specific type of investment to do really, really well. You see, the money never really vanishes, it just moves. It rotates from one place to another as the seasons change. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. We all literally just lived through one of these cycles. Remember the difficulty of the 2018 trade wars? That was winter. Then came the massive money injection in 2020 to fight COVID, total spring. That led to the overheating and crazy inflation of 2021, a classic summer. And then the aggressive rate hikes in 2022 to pull that money back, right back into winter. It follows the map almost perfectly. All right, so let's zoom in and break down the first two seasons, winter and spring. This is the transition from a deep, cold hibernation into the very first signs of new life. So how should you be positioned? Economic winter is, well, it's cold. Interest rates are high, which causes a lot of economic pain and a ton of fear in the markets. But that pain is actually the trigger for the next season. Central banks see the damage and they step in to create spring by cutting interest rates and flooding the system with cheap money. This is when sentiment shifts from pure fear to a kind of cautious hope. So watch the flow of money here, because this is absolutely key. Deep in winter, everyone's scared, so they pile into the safety of gold to hibernate. Then, as spring just begins to dawn, gold often has one last powerful run-up. But then, the shift happens. As confidence slowly comes back, all that capital starts looking for better returns. It flows out of the safety of gold and pours into growth assets like stocks and crypto, which are perfectly positioned to soak up all that new, cheap money. Now let's head into the warmer months. Those seeds that we planted back in spring are starting to grow like crazy. It's time for sunshine, peak growth, and eventually, the harvest. Oh, summer. This is the big party. The economy is absolutely roaring, the news is all positive, and everyone on social media feels like an investing genius. But, every great party eventually gets a little out of hand. In autumn, the economy starts to overheat. Inflation, which is the bill for all that easy money, starts to become a real problem. And that's when you hear the first whispers that the central bank might have to, take away the punch bowl. And here's the next critical rotation. While most people are celebrating the amazing returns in stocks and crypto during the summer, the really smart money is already packing up and preparing for the weather to change. They rotate their profits into things that do well during inflation, like real estate. And then, as autumn gets into full swing, they move to the ultimate safe haven, cash, especially the US dollar, getting ready for winter to arrive all over again. Okay, so we can now read the financial weather. We know what season it is. The big question is, how do we turn this knowledge, this financial almanac, into a real, repeatable strategy for building wealth? This right here, this is the golden rule. It's probably the most important thing you'll hear today. You don't buy stocks when it's already bright and sunny and everyone's euphoric. No way.
The real money is made by buying those summer assets back in late winter or early spring when everything still feels kind of scary and prices are cheap. You have to invest for the season that's coming, not the one you're in. So here it is, a clear 4-step formula. Step 1, it all begins with having cash flow. That's your foundation. Then, step 2, you use that cash to patiently buy the assets that are unloved now but are perfect for the next season. Step 3 is the hardest part for most people. You hold on. You have to be patient and just let the season turn. And finally, step 4, as your season hits its peak, you take your profits and get ready for the next rotation. It's simple, it's proactive, and it's incredibly powerful. Which brings us to right now. Based on this framework, we are likely in the final cold stages of an economic winter, a time of high interest rates and general difficulty. But if this cycle holds true, and it has for a very long time, that means spring is just around the corner. A new season of growth, a new season of opportunity. So the question I'll leave you with is this: are you ready for it? What have you prepared for the coming spring?